There are places, dark places, where the walls remember screams, where silence is not empty, but alive. This is the story of Ali, a night guard who thought he was protecting a school. But in truth, the school was protecting him from what lived inside its old library. And the night Ali stepped inside, that protection was broken. Ali arrived for his first shift with a flashlight, a notebook, and a heavy ring of keys. The corridors were empty. The smell of chalk dust lingered. In the distance, a classroom door creaked, though there was no wind. Before leaving, the old guard had stopped him, his face pale, his eyes sunken. He spoke only once. Listen carefully. At 12:07, you will hear whispers. Do not answer them. Do not go near the library. If you do, you'll never leave the same. Ali had laughed. Stories to scare the new guy, he thought. But when the clock struck midnight, laughter died in his throat. At first, it was silence, a silence so heavy it pressed against his ears. And then, a voice, a whisper, soft as breath. Ali? Ali? He froze. The beam of his flashlight shook in his hand. Again, the whisper came, closer, sharper. Ali, come here. His heartbeat pounded. His throat went dry. The sound wasn't coming from one direction. It was everywhere, above him, behind him, inside his own head. And then his legs began to move against his will, step by step, toward the old library. The library door stood at the end of the hall. It was supposed to be sealed with chains, but tonight it was slightly open. Ali hesitated. The whisper urged him, just a little closer. He pushed the door. It groaned loudly, echoing like a scream in the empty halls. Inside, the air was thick and rotten, the smell of mold, of paper, left to decay. Moonlight spilled weakly through cracked windows, painting the room in silver shadows. Books lay scattered, torn, pages curled and yellow, yet the silence inside wasn't empty. It was waiting. Ali took a step inside, and then he saw it. Between the shelves, something moved. At first, just a flicker. Then, a shape. It was tall, far taller than any man. Its arms dangled, almost touching the floor. Its head tilted unnaturally to one side as if broken, and where eyes should have been, only hollow black sockets stared back. Ali's flashlight flickered. He tried to step back, but the door slammed shut behind him. Now he was trapped. The whispers rose again, but this time they weren't faint. They came from everywhere, from every shelf, every corner, every book. Dozens of voices chanting his name. Ali, Ali, Ali. Ali covered his ears, but it was inside his head. The shelves trembled violently. Suddenly, books flew off and crashed to the ground. Pages flipped rapidly, as if turned by invisible hands. Ali looked down, and his blood ran cold. Every single page had just one thing written in red ink, his name, Ali, over and over, hundreds of times. The shadow began to move toward him, not walking, gliding. Each step echoed louder than the last, though its feet never touched the ground. The closer it came, the colder the room grew. Ali couldn't breathe. His chest felt crushed. The shadow raised its long, sharp fingers, reaching for his face. When it touched his arm, the flesh burned with an icy sting. Ali screamed. He stumbled backward, straight into a mirror that shouldn't have been there. The library didn't have mirrors, and yet, in the corner stood a tall, cracked one. Ali glanced into it. What he saw froze his blood. In the reflection, the library was filled with shadows, dozens of them, crawling between shelves, staring at him with hollow eyes. But when he turned around, the room was empty. Only one shadow stood before him, but in the mirror, There were many, all watching, all waiting. Allie ran toward the door. It wouldn't open. The handle twisted, but something held it shut. The whispers grew louder, almost screaming now. Pages tore themselves out of books, flying around him like a storm. One page struck his face. He pulled it off and saw his own handwriting. But he hadn't written it. It read, "You were chosen. You belong to us." The shadow lunged. Allie rammed the door with his shoulder once, twice, until finally it burst open. He stumbled into the hallway, gasping for breath. The whispers stopped instantly. The school was silent again. Allie thought he had escaped, but he was wrong. From that night on, at exactly 12:07, he hears the whispers again, at first faint, then louder. Sometimes they follow him home. Sometimes, in the silence of his own room, he hears books falling, pages flipping, and worst of all, when he looks in the mirror,